Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
President Obama walked into a House chamber full of new faces, many more Republicans, after what the president had called his electoral shellacking. Though the opposition party now controls the House of Representatives, members of both parties sat side by side in the chamber, a symbolic gesture after an assassination attempt on one of their own this month. What has changed little in the last year is unemployment, which stood at 10% at the time of last year's State of the Union address. The current rate is 9.4%. To spur new growth, Mr. Obama conjured a bold image to Americans.
This is our generation's Sputnik moment.
Referring to the Soviet satellite which once motivated Americans to be the first on the moon, Mr. Obama proposed new investment in biomedical research, information technology, and clean energy.
We need to out-innovate, out-educate, and out-build the rest of the world.
Paid for, he said, by cutting back on subsidies to oil giants.
I'm asking Congress to eliminate the billions in taxpayer dollars we currently give to oil companies.
President Obama called for a 5-year freeze on non-security government spending, which he says would save $400 billion. Representative Paul Ryan delivered the Republican response. As chairman of the House Budget Committee, he called for smaller government.
We're at a moment where if government's growth is left unchecked and unchallenged, America's best century will be considered our past century.
Overseas, the president proclaimed the Iraq War is coming to an end, while U.S. troops in Afghanistan will begin returning home this year. To terrorists,
we will not relent, we will not waver, and we will defeat you.
And the president highlighted the independence vote in Sudan and protests that helped overturn the government in Tunisia.
We saw that same desire to be free in Tunisia, where the will of the people proved more powerful than the writ of a dictator.
Congressional Democrats and Republicans, predictably, disagreed in their assessments.
He really addressed the anxiety of the American people.
He still believes in spending money as a recovery tool.
Political analyst John Fortier of the American Enterprise Institute says Mr. Obama is positioning himself for the presidential election of 2012.
I think the president is in something of a middle position, looking forward to govern in a somewhat messy way with divided government. That won't please all the edges, but it does open the opportunity up for him to place himself somewhat more in the middle and to prepare for an election.
As members of the two parties sat together on this night, President Obama pointed out it's no secret that they've had their differences, that debates have been contentious. But he says what comes of this moment will be determined by if Republicans and Democrats can work together tomorrow. Carolyn Pursuti, VOA News.